So now we're gonna stitch the bottom of the back, which again is this part here across the bottom, and then pivoting and up to the small dot, which is, hopefully you can see my dot. I can see it, but there. So you're gonna stop right at the dot, so don't go past it. I think on this first side, I'm actually gonna start at my dot because that's kind of how it's oriented for me. Oh, I'm just gonna place my vest and lining under my machine and line up that dot under my needle so that I know and make sure everything else is out of the way. Still lining up at 5/8 of an inch. So this is the dot right here. I'm gonna drop my needle down into the dot and I'm gonna go ahead and start to stitch. Do the same thing on the other side and then meet me back at the sewing table. We're gonna turn our vest to the right side and finish it. Okay, you guys, so once you have everything stitched together, it look like this. So we have this is the back. We have our bottom stitched, we have our armhole stitched, we have our back neckline stitched, and then this is the front. We have our armhole stitched, we have our front neck and our bottom stitched as well. So once we're at this part, we're gonna go ahead and press all of our seams. So just run your iron right along your little stitching just to meld everything together. And then we're gonna trim our seams down, and we're gonna also trim our corners as well to give us a sharp turnout once we turn the vest onto the right sides. Okay, so I've pressed everything. I'm gonna go ahead and trim now. So once we have finished our major chop, we are going to clip our corners. So clip into the curves of your armholes to make sure that everything rolls really nicely when you turn this out. You could also clip into your neckline into the curves. But I'm not going to do that today, but you definitely can if you want to. All right, so we're going to turn our vest now to the right side, and the way that they want us to do this is a little interesting. So what we're going to do is, this is the back where we have our opening. We're going to pull this out through the back. So we're going to reach our hand in between the lining and the fabric, and we're going to go in through the shoulder of the front. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna kind of pull that front through the back of the vest. Not just one front, but two through the lining in the back. Okay, put your hand back through there and then go down through your second shoulder of your front. And again, pull that lining through that same opening. So yeah, that's gonna pull your lining through perfectly for the front. Now we successfully have both of our fronts pulled through, and we have our vest on the right side. So they want us to press this next and then understitch it, but I like to understitch and then press. That's just my personal preference. If you want to go and press this all out and then understitch it, feel free to do that. But I am gonna understitch first. So I'm gonna, as far as we can, we're gonna understitch up the front of the vest. This is our access point right here. We're gonna go in where we have our openings and understitch. I'm gonna change my thread to the same color as my lining because the understitching thread is gonna show on the lining side, as you'll see. So I'm gonna change my thread to match my lining. We're gonna understitch this thing. We're gonna press everything out nice and neat, and then we're gonna finish off our side seams. So I'm gonna go in through a side opening here, and I'm just gonna maneuver that under my presser foot. And you wanna make sure that your seam, and be very careful because you don't wanna stitch anything underneath here, but this is the seam that we trimmed down. You wanna make sure that that is facing out under your lining. So you're basically stitching over your lining through your seam that we just sewed. So let's see, I'm gonna start wherever I can. I'm gonna stitch very close to the fabric, but on the lining. But again, I'm just gonna go only as far as I can. And you'll have to put your hands underneath to see how much space you have to actually stitch this, and make sure you're not stitching anything underneath as well, other than the seam. So we're gonna stitch, we're gonna back stitch. To see, and I'm sorry, but it's such a tight space. And then back stitch at the end. And then we're gonna clip our threads. Now we're gonna turn and we're gonna do the other side. So, okay, you guys, so once we have that understitched, let's go ahead and press out the entire vest. If you need to use your point turner to turn out any corners, now is the time, just to get everything nice and crisp. And then we're going to press this, and then we're gonna do the last step. So once we have everything pressed out, we're gonna finish our side seams. And this is probably the trickiest part of this pattern. It took me a little while to figure out what are they talking about. Okay, this is the back, this is the front right here. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to basically flip this up to meet each other. So now we're looking at this lining. So we were here looking at the back, and then we flip this up like this. Now we're matching right side to right side. This is one side only. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pin our seams together right here, okay? And we're gonna start 2 inches above the armhole seam. So this is the armhole, this is the armhole seam where we just pinned. So separate your lining from your fabric, and we're gonna mark off 2 inches above our pin. So I'm just gonna get my seam gauge here. We're almost there, y'all, I promise. And you're just gonna mark 2 inches above that. Okay, so I'm gonna pin there so that I know where to start stitching. And then we're gonna continue to meet the two sides, right sides facing all the way down. And so you can kind of see that you're gonna have to turn this as you go when you start sewing. And this is the bottom seam here. So we're gonna pin all the way down, and we're gonna stitch all the way to 2 inches below the bottom seam. So I'm just turning and pinning and turning and pinning. I'm gonna match my seam up here as well. Let's see. Match up my seam, pin. Okay. And so now that we're at the seam, we're gonna mark again 2 inches below the bottom seam, which is gonna be about here. And I'm gonna mark that on the other side as well. Like that right there. Okay. So I'm gonna pin all the way to that point. And again, it's gonna be really tight. So if you're like, oh my goodness, I'm running out of space, that is normal. Okay, so we have that first side pinned, and basically we're gonna go to our sewing machine, come out of there, and we're gonna stitch in one continuous stitch. So be careful not to remove your pins like I'm about to. Stitch in one continuous stitch, starting where we first pinned, 2 inches above the underarm seam, all the way down, across, down, 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 and to where we pinned last, which is the bottom seam, 2 inches below. Okay, so go ahead and pin the other side the same way, and then we're gonna go to the sewing machine and stitch this to close up our side seams. Okay, y'all, so I'm gonna try my best to capture this because again, it is a very tight space, 2 inches above. So where we marked, I'm just gonna slide that under my presser foot, dropping down, let's see. Yeah, I'm dropping down my needle. Everything's flat. I'm gonna start to stitch and back stitch. Mark and back stitch. Okay, so we have that stitch now. Okay, hopefully. So now, look what we have. This is the inside of our vest. So we've pretty much finished the seam. Now all we have to do is turn in the seam allowance because we finished the whole side of the vest, right? Now we just have to turn in the seam allowance of our lining and slip stitch. So go ahead and do that. There's like a whole bunch of videos on slip stitching. So do that. And then the last thing you'll have to do is turn your vest right side out. Then you'll probably want to press it again. And you're going to make the buttonholes in the right front. So this is going to be the front. And then all you have to do is sew on your buttons and we're done with this vest. So we're there, y'all. We're there. We're done. So again, slip stitch the rest of your lining closed with the hand needle. Buttonholes on the right side, buttons on the left, and that is it. And then I'm going to show you my finished vest. And you go ahead and finish your vest and you have a nice little vest to wear. This has been a very hot pattern, especially this summer. So hopefully you guys can stitch it up for fall or whatever you want to wear it for. Thank you again for joining me. I'm going to show you how mine turned out. If you like this video, definitely support my channel down below by liking, subscribing, sharing this video, and then sending me a super thanks if you want to. But yes, I love that we finished this vest together, and I hope you guys enjoyed our sew along. So be blessed, and until next time, happy sewing.